Hey there, Workwear Nation. This is Matthew Hudson, CXO of Workwear Safety, with this month's Fit Tip. In this Fit Tip, we're going to be talking about the difference between EH, SD, and conductive footwear. Now, it's an important component because I got a question a couple weeks ago. Somebody said, hey, I've got some of my employees need, conductive and some need EH. Can I just get boots that have both? That way I've got it all covered and I don't have to have any boots in my program. Well, the answer to that question is negative. You cannot do anything like that. In fact, EH and conductive are the polar opposite. They do the opposite thing. So you might be wondering, okay, well, what's the difference between EH, SD, and conductive? And by the way, Matt, why do you keep using initials instead of saying what you really mean? Well, let's break that all down for you. What you'll see here on the table is 3 Reebok shoes. They all kind of look pretty much the same. In fact, if you look at the outsoles, the same outsoles on the outsole, right? What's the difference? Well, depending on what your job is, one of these will save your life and one of these will lose your life, right? So that's the difference between them, but they all look pretty harmless just sitting right here. So let's talk about the differences. First is this one. This one is electrical hazard, okay? This is an EH shoe. Now, an EH shoe, basically what we're saying here is that if I'm tested, I am making sure that whoever's wearing this shoe is protected against an electrical shock or current coming into my body up to 18,000 volts. Now, the 18,000 volts is the standard set by ASTM. In essence, you know that safety footwear carries the label F2413-18. That's the current standard for ASTM. It's on the label, that's right inside the shoe. This one has an EH on it telling you it's electrical hazard. Electrical hazard means that they have insulated the shoe, if you will, so that the current won't pass through and create a circuit, therefore shocking me. Now, 18,000 volts, that's a lot, right? And so it's not as much as like if I'm climbing the power poles and I'm really dealing with that kind of current. But if I'm an electrician, if I'm an HVAC person, these are going to be perfect for you in that situation. Construction jobs and so on. In fact, the majority of the footwear at Workwear Safety, we make EH because why not have that extra layer of protection? Now, you wouldn't know it's EH by looking at it except for the marking on the shoe. Right? So now let's go to this one, which is SD, or what SD really stands for is static dissipative. Again, looks like the exact same shoe, just maybe a different style, same foot outsole and everything. Here's the difference. When I pull out the footbed in here, it's the Memory Tech Massage footbed. In fact, if I go back here, look, Memory Tech Massage footbed. It's the same footbed, except look at the difference. Notice how on the SD one, I've got this stitching going down through the center right here. The stitching line on here, and I don't on this one. Okay, so for a static dissipative or SD shoe, what I'm trying to do is different and the opposite of what I'm doing here. I'm not trying to insulate you like I am electrical hazard. I'm trying to take the static electricity, the charge that's on your body, and dissipate it off. That's the D, the dissipating it off the process. Now, this one, EH, is designed to protect you, the person. The SD shoe is designed to protect the product that you're working on. So not you, but the product, okay? So if I look inside the shoe, what I'll see is another series of stitching, okay? So this is in contact with my body. The stitch then touches here, and what it does is it takes any static charges on the body and allows it to dissipate to the walking surface beneath or below. Why is that important to me? So every time you come in contact with something, if I touch anything, a static discharge goes from me to that. It's so small you don't know, but you remember, you've all done it where you've walked across the room, grabbed the handle on the door and got the shock, or when you were younger, you did the balloon things. We've all experienced static electricity. It's just that the majority of the time, you don't know that static electricity is passing in the body because you can't feel it. But let's say that I'm working on microchips or little bitty pieces of componentry for electronics that might have millions of processors on them, right? So tiny, I can't even see them with my eye. My touch on that, the discharge from me to that, I'll never even feel it, I'll never even know it, but it's enough to fry it and destroy it. So companies need the ability to protect the product that you're working on, and that's what static dissipative shoes do. They allow the current to come off of the body through the walkway surface, whereas EH said, nope, I'm going to protect it. I'm not going to let current come into your body. This is the difference, like they're opposite of each other, right? There are 3 types of SD shoes. There's SD 100, SD35, and SD10. Now, that's a different video to go through the technical pieces of the difference between those levels. What you need to know is the lower the number, the more charge is dissipated off the body, meaning the more protection you're giving the product, right? So I'm protecting the person, I'm protecting the product. Now let's come to this guy right here, conductive. Again, when I look at him, he looks like the other Reebok shoes, right? But when I pull him out, he has that same principle of the stitching. See that stitching that's on that footbed? And then look inside the shoe, I see the stitching that's inside the shoe. Now again, according to ASTM F2413-18, to meet that standard, what I'm doing here with conductive is I'm dissipating 100% of the electricity, 100% off of my body. So I don't have anything that's there. Now, why would I want to do this? Well, I would want to do this because, not because I want to protect the product, it's because I want to protect the place I'm working in, okay? Think if you worked in a fireworks factory, for example, gunpowder, right? Doing ammunition. The least little charge could set that off. And of course, we know if gunpowder goes off, it's going to blow up the whole building. We know that if you're working with paint, with highly toxic, those fumes can really set off by a charge and blow up the entire building. We've seen things in the news where entire plants blew up from a small little current or electrical charge. That's what this guy is trying to do. Now, he is the polar opposite of the AH, right? So these guys are actually very dangerous to wear in the environment. Whereas I told you before, we put EH on most of our products because why not have that added level protection? You don't want to wear a conductive shoe unless you need it for the job. In fact, we recommend that nobody even wears conductive shoes outside the workplace. You have a captive shoe environment, which means that the shoe stays at the job. You wear your street shoes in, you change into these, and you go to work. Why? Because on conductive or even on static dissipative, you can get debris from the parking lot that's coming in. They can get wet from the rain that's there. Those things affect its ability to dissipate the electricity. So he won't get it all off and he won't get it all off when there's debris and stuff that's underneath it. So therefore, it's best to kind of keep it captive in a way. So EH protects the person, you. SD protects the product that you're working on. And conductive protects the place where you're working.